traded vows for silence. Weddings are supposed to smell like flowers and compromise, but the one I worked on smelled like politics. My name is Adrian. I'm a contract violinist for a high-end events company in the city, which is a glamorous way of saying I play passionable until rich people forgive themselves. The man I loved was Noah, a high school civics teacher with a voice that could turn constitutional law into lullaby. We rented a two-room walk-up above a bakery that proofed patience into its sourdough. On our fridge lived a dog-eared card with 3 rules. Be home when you say, don't rehearse leaving, kiss before sleep. We didn't write anything about groomsmen who smile too long, politicians who whisper too close, or the way champagne makes people brave enough to ruin each other. The wedding was for a councilman's son, which meant donors disguised as guests and a photographer who'd already sold half the images to a glossy magazine. My quartet set up near the reflecting pool, hired to look like a soundtrack rather than labor. That's when I first saw Eli, best man, navy suit that made etiquette look optional, the kind of posture that comes from always entering rooms people already admire. He gave his tie one last tug and then, inexplicably, looked at me. Not the groom, not the bride, not the 100 lenses waiting. Our eyes met for longer than tuning requires. He smiled in a way that registered as a rehearsal. Noah came to the reception later, after his last class. He always arrives carrying his own honesty like a gift you can't return. He kissed me on the cheek in front of the tent full of people who measured affection in press coverage. Looks expensive, he murmured. It's all rented, I said. He squeezed my shoulder and went to find wine while I packed up sheet music with hands that felt caught. I could feel Eli's eyes still somewhere in the tent, reminding me that rented things sometimes stay too long. 2 weeks later, a gala. Same sponsors, different chandeliers. I was again background noise until I was. Eli approached me at the bar, tie looser this time, smile sharpened. You're not playing tonight, he said. I wanted to hear you. I said I was here as a guest, Noah's +1. He nodded toward Noah across the room, deep in debate with a cluster of donors. He looks like he's winning, Eli said, leaning closer, lowering his voice so the liquor bottles could eavesdrop. Do you ever want to lose just once? The sentence slid under my ribs. I didn't answer. He smiled like silence was consent. Noah drove us home, narrating the city lights the way he does when he thinks I need reminding that beauty is free. I nodded, said yes, in all the right places, kissed him when he asked if we still had soup in the fridge. He didn't notice that my body flinched at memory, Eli's breath against my ear. I told myself it was just intrigue, the kind that expires when daylight clocks in. I was wrong. The first kiss happened in a corridor not designed for it. Another donor event, another tent pretending to be permanence. I stepped outside for air. Eli followed with the certainty of men who don't knock. You play like you're confessing, he said. I want to know what you haven't said. And then his mouth was on mine, warm, rehearsed, devastatingly persuasive. I kissed back for one beat too long. I pulled away because Noah's name lived in my chest like a verdict. Eli smirked, thumb brushing my lip. We'll call that our draft, he said, walking back inside before the night noticed. I told Noah because our rules don't bend for my cowardice. He listened, hand around a mug of tea, eyes steady as an oath. Do you want him? He asked. I want to not want him, I admitted. He nodded slowly. Then don't practice him here. He kissed me, soft but certain, the way you kiss when you're teaching mercy. We went to bed and loved each other carefully like a house rebuilt after an almost fire. His hand at my throat asked, here. I said yes, like a man begging the word to mean more. For a while, Eli lived only in my inbox. A message after midnight, you looked bored tonight. Another, days later, do you ever want to rehearse a life where no one claps? I deleted them, then memorized them, then deleted them again. Noah graded papers with red ink that bled into the margins. I graded my silence. We survived that season, but only because Noah mistook my quiet for peace. The relapse came with a fundraiser at City Hall. Marble floors, chandeliers that creaked like gossip. I played a short set, then drifted to the balcony. Eli was there already, leaning on the railing as if the city owed him altitude. "Still confessing?" he asked. I didn't answer. He touched my wrist, not hard, just enough to remind me my body wasn't neutral. And then I was kissing him again, this time fully, hungrily, with the kind of desperation that makes a lie sound earned. We pulled apart when footsteps echoed. My lips tasted of champagne and regret. Eli whispered, "Now we've both lost." He left before the marble could take sides. I came home late, soup already cooling on the stove. Noah looked at me like a man who knows but hasn't received the paperwork. "Was it him?" he asked quietly. I broke. Told him everything, not just the kiss but the hunger, the silence, the rehearsals in my head. He listened like a jury that hates its own verdict. Then he stood, came around the table, put his hands on my face. "You tell me before you leave," he said. "Not after." His mouth found mine, urgent, almost punishing, until it softened, until we remembered we were us. We made love with fury and forgiveness tangled, the sheets recording a testimony neither of us wanted archived. I avoided Eli after that, or tried to. He stayed in the orbit of donors, visible at the edges of music stands and catering trays. Sometimes our eyes met, long enough to remind me I hadn't chosen boredom, just responsibility. Sometimes he'd smile, small, like a man who knows the ending but enjoys the middle. Noah and I endured. We added a fourth rule to the card: don't trade vows for silence. It looks trite until you live it. We kissed every night, even the ones when my mouth was still learning to forget another's. We built small habits into armor: soup on Tuesdays, walks on Sundays, laughter when the bakery's mixer broke again. The intrigue never vanished, but it dulled like a violin string stretched too many times. If you ask me what the season was about, I won't say infidelity or restraint or how many seconds a kiss can last before it counts as betrayal. I'll say it was about silence. The kind you keep, the kind you confess, the kind you let go of before it rots. We traded vows for silence once. Then we decided silence was too expensive. We came home when we said. We kissed before sleep. And when my chest ached with the memory of a corridor kiss, Noah placed his hand there like a gavel and whispered, "Here." And I said yes, and the verdict was mercy.